welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss the inspiration, even the occasional VHS tape. I'm your host Hal, and Mordo's here with me too. And sorry, folks, I just have a real bad case of insomnia recently.
Damn, that's crazy. So am I. You know what? I think this episode needs a sponsor. Today's Too Many Movies is brought to you by melatonin. We fucking need
it. Exactly. Well, Mordo, welcome to another Nolan episode. I'm so happy you're here today because I'm very excited to talk about the two movies we're talking about today. Just because these are really good movies. That's basically it. They're really good, I think. So.
I definitely agree. Also, I had a few head points before we start. Chat, you may have noticed the visual that you see in front of you now, and you're probably wondering, what the heck is this about?
What's this?
So we all know OBS, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking to Hal right now. I'm on my Steam Deck, speaking with him. If I might sound better on like computer wise than phone wise, something like that. So when it comes to OBS on my Steam Deck, when I first got it, I never had the option of a virtual camera. It never gave me one. And normally it would come with one if you're like probably like on Windows or something like that. And I know my friends use it as like a way to as a camera is like either like share their screen without really sharing their screen or like, you know, what I'm doing, like a PNG tuber. And I can just have like an overlay sort of thing while I have my camera on. So for the longest time I've been trying to like find out how the heck do I get open virtual camera on OBS. And I have to do like some fucking coding on a console that Linux has. And for the longest time, I've been having trial and error with it. I've gotten nowhere with it, and it was like bugging the shit out of me. I probably had the factory reset my Steam Deck a couple times just to like get rid of the unnecessary shit. But as of yesterday, I finally got it to work, and I'm just now toying with it, messing around with it. And I figured for this episode, you know, I make a little special overlay because, you know, I just thought I thought I'd just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Also, another thing, I recently don't go by Mordo anymore. I've been going by Robyn.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't mind you guys. I don't mind you calling me Mordo if you want to call me by Robyn. I highly would appreciate it. It's just, I've been doing a bit of rebranding as of lately.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen,
and, just a lot of personal thoughts.
Yeah, I accept you as Robyn. It's just I love saying the word Mordo. I think that's one of my favorite names to say out of all my guests. I love being just like Mordo's back. But yes, I accept you as Robyn.
Yeah, no, I trust you with the name Robyn. I still like the name Mordo. I just think like I don't know, personal reasons. I wanted to like I guess you promote it a bit. I'll still go buy it under like YouTube, and you know I probably have a different purpose for it,
and
I'll probably use that as like a pen name sort of thing.
Sure.
Like, you know, like Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss. Ooh,
that's how that's how I kind of thought of it. It's just like, you know how Dr. Seuss is like the cover name.
Yeah, it's a cover. Yeah, it's not his real name. It's his pen name.
Yeah, pen name.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's that. Okay, I figured it was pen name, but yeah, I've always thought of it as like that.
Yeah. That's cool.
But yeah, I'm sure that's not a point. I just figured I point that out as what's been up with me lately.
Absolutely.
But yeah, all right, I'm done rambling. We can continue.
Okay, that's totally fine. Yeah. Why don't we get into a Nolan movie today?
Heck yeah.
So the Nolan movie that we're talking about today is Insomnia. This is one of his earlier ones, not his absolute earliest one. I think this is his third one, Insomnia, because I
believe this is his third one. Yes.
Yeah, because the first two would have been Following and Memento, and then this came out in 2002. So yeah, Insomnia, 2002, directed by Christopher Nolan. It's the only film he's never written. He's always worked on the scripts on all his movies. This is the only one he hasn't technically written or done anything with the screenplay with.
And there's a good reason for that.
Yes, there is.
Technically, this was not original film. This is a U.S. adaptation of a 1997 Norwegian film.
Yep.
Same name.
Yep. Norwegian
Nobody said
film.
that right.
It's Norwegian.
Norwegian.
Yeah. I'm mostly
Oops.
Norwegian, so
I'm sorry.
that's okay. I think would you say Norwegian?
I probably said Norwegian.
You know what? I'm gonna say Norwegian
Whoops.
from now on. That's funnier.
No, don't. I don't want to offend anybody that is Norwegian.
Norwegians don't get offended by anything. They're fine.
Well, I hope not.
I hope not too.
It's funny. It's funny. I'm surprised we didn't do this episode on both the Nolan movie and the original.
You know what? That probably would have made more sense, but I have an ulterior motive that we'll get to later with this movie. But anyway,
I think also because I'm kind of curious to see what the original was like.
I am too.
That's
yeah, because I didn't actually know that this was a remake until I was doing a little more research this episode. I didn't know that this would have been an American remake, which I'm usually against those kinds of movies. Like, oh, you're taking a movie that was made in another country and remaking it for American audiences, because usually those turn out real bad. Obviously, there are exceptions. One of the
this is one of them.
This is one of them. I was also going to say something like The Departed, the Scorsese film. That's a remake of a Hong Kong film. But they're so, even though it's technically a remake, they're so vastly different that honestly, it's fine because Scorsese is able to inject his own style into it. So it actually warrants being a remake at that point.
Yeah, I think it just definitely works depending on, you got the right crew and director for it. Especially with Nolan's case, he was able to, pull off American adaptation of Insomnia here.
Yeah, exactly. I really do think this movie's really good. Like, I watched it a couple years ago. It's not often heralded as one of Nolan's best or one of his most popular ones. Like, it's down there in terms of popularity. And so I remember watching it a couple years ago and being like, oh yeah, this is good. It's fine. But upon rewatch, I liked it a lot more. I really like this movie. I think it's really good.
Oh, God, there's a God. Okay. God, Hal here actually liked a Nolan rewatch. I was,
that's a good point.
We were a little scared about him lately.
I was scared too.
We all know about the Interstellar incident.
Yeah, the Interstellar debacle. No, this is more like what happened with The Prestige, where I watched it, I liked it, and then I watched it again, and I still liked it. So no, this is more akin to the Prestige episode, which is good.
Yeah, thank God.
I know. I'm excited too. I'm just like, oh, thank God, this is actually a good movie. But yeah, no, I think what I really like about this film is that it's not very showy when it comes to Nolan. Like, Nolan is very, and Nolan is very much about his style and just making these big grand films, which is not bad by any means. Like, when that succeeds, like something like Oppenheimer, that was a huge film that ended up working out, and I love Oppenheimer. But I feel as though this one's a lot simpler. This one is more akin to Memento, where the complexities comes with the story, not so much the grander scale,
Yeah, no, I was kind of thinking that. I don't know if I wrote that in my Letterboxd review, but like, I thought that this movie feels like Memento again, but with a lot more plot to it, and it's more. There's more to it.
Yes.
Because with Memento, it's a very simpler story.
Yes.
Despite the fact that it's also being told backwards.
Right.
With here, like, there's more depth into it, where it feels like that similar story where it's just like, well, I'd probably rather wait until I get more further on to like explain why, but like, I definitely want to say this. There's definitely like it feels like Memento with more depth to it.
There's a lot more moving parts to this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I was also going to say is that I also kind of agree with that, because when I watched this, I was thinking to myself, this feels very non-Nolan.
Yeah.
By being a Nolan-directed film.
Yeah.
But again, it's a U.S. remake of a Norwegian film, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, but even still, even though it's probably the least Nolan-feeling film out of his filmography, he's still able to inject his own creativity and style into it enough that you can be like, no, this was definitely directed by Nolan.
Exactly. I can sense a bit of a style a bit there. It's not very clear, but like you can sense in a way.
Yeah. Well, why don't we start with I want to start with the characters and how they interact with the story. So basically Insomnia
Yeah.
is about uh this girl gets murdered in a northern town in Alaska, and a couple of cops from Los Angeles are called in to investigate because the cops up in that town are kind of struggling with this certain case. And so Al Pacino plays the main character, where he's an LA cop brought up to investigate this girl's murder. Um, and what ends up happening is some things happen where uh, accidentally, well, it's never actually specified that, and that's kind of part of the point of the story. Pacino's partner gets killed by Pacino, and the only witness to him killing his partner is the murderer of the girl that they're investigating. And so it's kind of this whole back and forth with they know information, the killer knows information. That killer, by the way, is played by Robin Williams. And
Robin Williams, the bad guy?
I know. Yeah, we'll get to him in a bit, but I just want to give the story. So that's the story. Is like it's not a typical mystery crime thriller, because with most crime thrillers, most mystery crime thrillers in movies, the movie is about the main cop character kind of solving the mystery and finding the killer by the end. But that's not at all what it's about, because we know it's Robin Williams when he's introduced like 30, 45 minutes into the movie. What it's actually about is about the two characters and how they deal with the fact that, you know, they've committed murder essentially, and they've committed a great sin, and the guilt that envelops them throughout the film. That's what the film is about. Is it's about guilt, because, well, one of the other big aspects of this film is that, so because it takes place in a northern Alaskan town, because it's up there in the globe, there's this season of winter where the sun never sets. And that is actually a real thing that happens more so in Scandinavia, which is why this was originally a Norwegian film. I don't know if that's necessarily a thing in Alaska. I guess if you really go up north, like there's certain parts of the year where technically the sun will not set because of the way that the earth kind of rotates around the sun.
Crazy.
I know, it's insane. It freaks me the fuck out. I feel like if I was up there and I experienced, it was like what, 10 o'clock at night, and it was still sunny and bright, I'd be terrified. I'd go insane. I would not be able to handle that.
No, I remember. I know at the beginning of the film, like, Al was just like, "Hey, let's go to this kid's school. I want to embarrass him in front of everyone." And then, Hilary Swank, I believe, said, it's 10 at night,
Yeah.
right?"
Yeah.
When she said that, and I'm like, what the fuck did she mean by that?
Yeah, it really comes out of nowhere. It's great.
The sun is out. There's no shot that the sun would still be out at 10. 9, maybe.
Yeah.
And no.
Yeah. But again,
so that's where I'm just like, okay, I'm lost.
Well, that's why it's because the town is so north and so at the edge of like the sphere. It's like so north of the earth that at a certain point, yeah, no matter how the globe turns, the sun would not technically set. That's why I'm saying it's more so common in like Scandinavia. There's a video that I have to bring up the nostalgia critic. I have to. There's a video that Doug did years ago where he was at some convention in Sweden, and he was filming some vlog in a hotel room, and you could see like the sun still up in the still up in the sky behind him, and he's just like, "Hey, Doug Walker here. pay no attention to the sun there. It's actually like 2:30 in the morning or something like that. And it's like, what? Like 2:30 in the morning, but the sun is still up. Like,
The fuck?
yeah, it's something to do with the Earth's axis and how certain seasons up north will just, because then it will do the opposite on other seasons where the sun will not even come up and it'll just be perpetually dark for months on end.
Oh, ha, 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 ha. Hey.
But yeah, that does have to do with the next movie, but we're not there yet. Not yet, Minion. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet, Minion.
So, so yeah, that's basically what the movie is about. Is Al Pacino? He kills his partner, whether it's on accident or he did it like subconsciously on purpose. It's never really clear, but he does feel this guilt throughout the film, and that guilt is personified by the fact that the sun is never setting and he's not able to sleep, hence why the movie's called Insomnia. He has a case of insomnia where he can't fall asleep.
Yeah, I think I also should mention, like, before that happens, like, I feel like there's like a little bit of like beef between the two that like you'd see here and there. That definitely just really just puts on point of the fact that, was this on accident or did he just do this because there was he had some sort of spite against his partner?
Yeah, so it's never exactly clear. Well, it's clear by the end of the movie when it reveals like the big twist, but throughout the movie you're given hints and like little hints about the fact that like Internal Affairs is investigating their department, and Al Pacino is scared that he's going to get found out, and his partner is willing to negotiate. So then his partner gets off scot-free, but Al Pacino would suffer. But his partner doesn't realize that Al Pacino has done anything wrong. And again, it's never really specified until the very end when Al Pacino, he admits to the hotel concierge lady, the lady that runs the hotel. He actually admits to that woman what he did, that he knows he would get screwed over with, because so there's that. It's a great scene because he's explaining it. So he put away a guy who clearly murdered a child, but they didn't have enough evidence. Even though he so obviously did it, they didn't have enough evidence to convict him. And so what Al Pacino did was he ended up planting some evidence on purpose. And that's a really interesting thing that this movie does, where you know that the guy, it's heavily implied that the guy did do it. But he would have gotten off because there wasn't enough evidence. So so then Al Pacino had to be like, well, I had to plant evidence, so then he would be put away. But it's like, okay, but you're still planting evidence, which is incredibly illegal. So
Yeah.
do the means justify the ends? Like that's something that this movie really brings up, and I think that's fascinating because yeah, that really fucks with your mind. Like where do you stand on that morally?
Yeah. Actually, can I pause for a moment?
Please.
So I know I mentioned earlier how this movie is about like Memento. Now that we brought up about that plot point, now I can finally explain why.
Yeah.
So, also, I should mention, spoilers for those who haven't seen Memento yet, but then again, if you've been following along with our journey and through the marathon through the Nolan stuff like we've been, then feel free to, hear me out on this.
Yeah.
So, near the end of like Memento, it's kind of like it's kind of revealed that Leonard accidentally killed his wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of his memory loss, and he kept injecting her with what it is, because
he kept injecting her with her medicine. Yeah,
with medicine, because she's diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with that is that ever since then, I feel like he kind of like tried to deny the fact that he killed her and put the blame on someone else. Right, so he's kind of put himself in this endless loop trying to catch the guy, who killed her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without realizing it was him the whole time on accident.
Yeah,
and it's something similar like that with Al here. He accidentally killed his partner, but he puts the pain on someone else.
Yeah,
Taking because he doesn't want to get in trouble for it, even if it was an accident or not. It just feels like he's trying to pin it on someone else. That being, of course, possibly our Robin Williams character,
Mm-hmm.
and the pin on him for both the murder of Kay, the girl that was murdered in the beginning, and of course Eckhart, I think his name was.
Well, yeah. So it's interesting because so Robin Williams witnesses him killing his partner, and so he tries to strike a deal with Al Pacino in saying, "Hey, the we can pin the murder on both your partner and Kay on her abusive boyfriend, because so the abusive boyfriend is seen as as a as a suspect already, and so he's suggesting, hey, we should really push this. And Robin Williams is interesting because he is a mystery writer, so he knows he has this way of like framing crimes and what makes sense, and so he's really trying to push for that, so then he gets off scot-free, and he's trying to make it seem like, oh, you see, everything is how it's supposed to be. The abusive piece of shit boyfriend was the one who killed her, and he was the one who ran from the cops when they when they had that sting operation, and he's the one who ended up killing the partner. So they wanted to like he was like trying to really push it because that's the way it should be. But Al Pacino does have this conscience with him where he's like, okay, but that's not what actually happened. Like, yes, I'd be the one because it was me, but it's one of those things where he's really just fighting himself the whole entire movie on trying to figure out what is the right thing to do, while also trying to actually solve what actually happened, trying to actually get evidence that it was Robin Williams who killed Kay.
Yeah, exactly. And
you go ahead.
I was trying to say something. Like, I was trying to like get back to like the whole like connection between Memento and Insomnia. I almost said Fallen, bro. No, yeah. I think with that thought in mind, when that scene happened, and knowing where this was going to go, I almost thought like, oh, was Al actually the killer the whole time? Did he kill Kay? And was he also about to kill this one girl with the truck scene? That when he was on the wrong side of the road, like, oh my god, is he actually like fucking out for blood because he's speaking over the fact that he killed his partner? The fuck is happening?
I like that scene because
no, I think he didn't realize.
Yeah, he's just showing off in that scene to show that he is a deranged guy. Like that much is true, because he's this very stressed out LA cop. Like he's been in the game for years. He's seen the most depraved people just pull off the most horrible atrocities, and he's just tired because he can't fall asleep. It's just my man cannot catch a break.
Yeah, no, speaking of that scene, like I felt a little uncomfortable because like she was also like that girl was like trying to flirt with Al, and I'm like,
yeah,
what the fuck are you doing? He is a grown ass man. You were a teenager. Stop that.
Yeah, she's
like lifting your shirt, your stop showing off your leg.
Yeah,
trying to flirt with him. Get the fuck out of my car. This is reverse pedophilia.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. One thing I actually really wanted to bring up with Al Pacino's character that I really thought was so interesting, because I was thinking about it the whole movie. So
I also want to bring up something about him.
So
go first.
So Hilary Swank she plays one of the cops who's from the northern town. She's like this rookie cop who idolizes Al Pacino. Because she's familiar with all his previous detective work. And she is tasked with kind of investigating what happened with the partner dying. And so she comes up with an actual case and saying like, oh yeah, I'm going off of the testimonies of what Al Pacino said. I'm going off of what makes sense. And I'm saying what he said. I'm going with, oh, it was the killer. And then she goes up to him with all her findings and her paperwork, and she asks Al Pacino, because he's the head of this case, to sign off on it, be like, okay, everything is done. And he could have just signed off on it, and that would have been the end of it. But he knows that she looks up to him, and he knows that she is somebody with potential in terms of becoming an actually passionate detective and wanting to do the right thing. And so he immediately is just like, before I sign this, why don't you just go over the facts again? Like, he knows that if she dives deeper into investigating what actually happened. She's going to find out it was him, but he knows that if she signs off on this, she's technically she's technically accessorizing to this murder here, and she's just not putting her all into it. She's being lazy. And so he doesn't want her to fall for the same traps that he will, or that he has. And so it's just really interesting that he's just like, I know that she's eventually going to find out, but morally, I can't let her fall victim to the same corruption that I have.
Wow.
Anyway, you had something you wanted to say about Al Pacino's character?
Yeah, it was just something. I don't think it's like something too deep as like what you were going on about, but like I just think it was just something that like I just thought about watching this. Two things was just on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
One, why the fuck does he look so old in this compared to Dunkachino?
Which came out 10 years after this movie. I did notice that when you said that. I'm like, yeah, he does look older in this than he does in Dunkachino. I think that has to do with the fact that he's really tired.
That might be it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of stuff with Al Pacino in it, so like I want to say like the only knowledge I have is of course Dunkachino and now Insomnia. So I look at him in Insomnia, and I say, is it me or did Dunk? I hate losing it. No, I was gonna say I was thinking when I was watching, I'm just thinking to myself, is it me or did Al look like a lot younger in the Dunkachino scene compared to how he looks in this?
He's really passionate for Dunkin' Donuts. Well, if you ever need recommendations for other Al Pacino movies, I highly recommend The Godfather and Heat. So
yeah. Okay.
It is funny that we're talking about him in this movie.
I know I hear good things.
I was just gonna say it's funny that we're talking about this movie where he plays a jaded LA cop, because that's exactly the same character he plays in the movie Heat.
I thought you were going to say The Godfather, but
no. Yeah. He plays a gangster.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Oh my god, I love Heat. We've talked about it on the podcast.
I figured Godfather was like a gangster thing.
Yeah.
Wait, exactly. Did you do an episode on Godfather?
I have not done an episode on Godfather yet, but I have done an episode on Heat. Me and Cac, we talked about Heat and Scarface, which Scarface also has Al Pacino in it, which is very good. I highly recommend that too.
I know. I hear a lot of like good things about Godfather. It's like a damn film gem.
Yeah, it's one of the greats.
Like it's just one of those classics no one would shut up about.
Yeah, exactly.
It
insists upon itself.
That and Goodfellas. It's like that and Goodfellas is like the most biggest like mob films I would hear about.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Goodfellas is another huge one. But Al Pacino's not in Goodfellas, but that is a Scorsese film though, so
there you go then.
But yeah, you had a second thing?
I think I know. Yeah, I was also gonna say like I don't know why. Part of me he sounds like a bit of like William Dafoe in this movie.
I guess
that might be a me thing. I don't know.
No, I guess kind of. You know what? It's the long
like
the long coat kind of reminds me of when he looks like when he's Norman Osborn in Spider-Man.
Probably.
Maybe the hair a little. Yeah, a little. I mean, I'm not there, but a little. I can kind of see it.
Yeah, there was actually another thing I actually want to talk about Al's character in this.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has to do where I almost wanted to make my Letterboxd review being like, this feels like a Columbo episode, but Columbo fucking lost it.
It is like Columbo.
Evil Columbo.
Evil Columbo. Yeah, where Columbo's the one who did it. Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. This is very much a Columbo episode, but Columbo was the one who did it.
Oh, like Columbo. No, he's taken like this. He's more of like a more kind, friendly kind of fellow cop character. With here, it's like that, but he's not soft on you.
No, definitely
he's not soft on the people he's speaking to.
Definitely not. Do we want to talk about Robin Williams now? Because I kind of want to talk about Robin Williams.
Yeah, let's talk about Robin Williams. Fucking Robin Williams.
Yeah.
How can we not talk about Robin Williams?
So yeah, Robin Williams, who we all know is like this very famous comedic actor, very famous comedian, like one of the funniest people to ever live. And he plays a serial killer in this. Well, not serial killer. He plays a murderer. The murderer of
Robin
a teenage
Williams,
girl.
The bad guy?
Yeah, he's the bad guy. And he's great. He's amazing. I know Robin Williams can pull off serious roles because One of his most famous ones is Good Will Hunting, a movie I have not seen yet. But I'm surprised this one doesn't get brought up as often as Good Will Hunting, or I don't see it brought up as often.
That's the fair, because I think, well, I mean, like, it's like what we said before. This isn't one of like a very popular film of Nolan's work that no one talks about often.
Yeah, but he's great. He's amazing. Like, and what's great is that when it comes to Robin Williams, I feel as though even in some of his more seriouser roles that I've seen him in, he can tend to ad lib and give a little bit of comedy to his performance. He doesn't do that here. He plays it so straight, and but it doesn't feel out of character for him. He plays it as serious as he can in a way that feels legitimate and natural. Like, I buy his character.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, I want to mention,
Actually, just to think about it.
Yeah, you go.
Robin Williams in a Nolan movie was definitely not on my life bingo card, but you know what? I'll fuck with it.
I'm glad it happened at least once.
It's just kind of interesting to know about, just Robin Williams in a Nolan movie.
Yeah.
Just let that sink in.
Yeah, I'm glad it happened. I would have loved to have seen it happen again, but if it had to happen only once, I'm glad it was this movie.
Agreed.
Yeah. Which I just also want to mention, I accidentally rewatched this film on the anniversary of his death, the 10-year anniversary of his death.
Oh no!
I know.
It's been 10 years.
It has been 10 years. That's how I found out. I was just like, I was watching the movie and I'm like, when did Robin Williams die? And I looked it up and it said, remembering Robin Williams 10 years later. And it was like posted 5 hours ago when I looked it up. I'm like, oh, that was on accident.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. What a tragedy. I miss him so much because I love Robin Williams. I mean, obviously not every movie I've seen of his is a winner. But when he was really good in films, he was really good. I know it's a cliche to bring up Aladdin, but Aladdin was one of my favorites of his. But you know what? This is also a favorite of mine of his. Like, this is a really great Robin Williams performance.
Absolutely, yeah. No, yeah. He definitely did a great job with character here, and I'm just amazed how it is of how he pulled it off.
Yeah.
I guess it's just really interesting just see him in more of a serious role, despite knowing what he's known for.
Yeah. When you think Robin Williams, you think, oh, this like really silly comedic performance, and he's always telling jokes. But like here, he doesn't do that. He is very much, and it's not even that he's like not smiling or not serious. He is very much playing a Robin Williams like character, but if he was a murderer. And he does that really, really well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And I really like how the movie kind of takes its time with revealing him. Like, he doesn't have a lot of scenes in the beginning of the movie. Like, I don't even think you see him full faced until maybe an hour into the film when they actually meet on the ferry boat.
Yeah.
Because his first major scene.
Yeah, that was like...
His first major scene is when he's being chased by Pacino across like the log river. Yeah. And I just want to mention the log river scene because, my God, that scene stressed me the hell out, because that's when Pacino falls through the logs, and it's like, you ever played Crossy Road when he's like jumping across the logs? That reminded me of Crossy Road.
Oh, wait, yeah, dude, that was insane.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck did they pull that off?
I know, and then he falls into the water, and like the logs are coming up, and he can't get up because the logs are blocking his way, and then like it might like smush his hand. Dude, I get really stressed whenever I see underwater scenes in movies, because I try to like hold my breath and be like, oh, could I survive this? And I never can. And I just see them like flailing around and swimming, holding their breath. And I'm just like, I audibly started like breathing heavily while watching this scene when he's just like underneath the water. I'm just like, because I'm telling myself, at least I can breathe air because I'm just watching the movie.
I was more distracted to just being impressed on the fact that Robyn's jumping through logs. Like, it's no stress.
Like it's a game of Crossy Road. Exactly.
On God.
Yeah. Oh man. But
I have to know how they. Now that I think about it, I have to know how they pulled that off. Like, well, did he actually do it? Was it a stunt double? Like, I need behind the scenes. I need info now.
Yeah.
Now I'm more intrigued by that scene.
Yeah, exactly. But just such a great scene. Just a great showcase of Nolan using editing as a tool, because again, the fact all these cuts and all like him being underwater stressed me the hell out. Like that's how impressed I was by a movie that's not often seen as one of Nolan's greatest. I was still like on the edge of my seat, like breathing so heavily because I was stressed out.
You know, if on the topic of like Robyn's character, when it came, dude, I when it came to that moment, when it came to um Robyn's character being investigated
Mm-hmm.
by the police and all that, uh dude, and then that was the point where they were trying to pin, where Robyn was trying to pin it on I think, what was it, Randy Seitz was
Yeah,
the kid's name.
yeah, the boyfriend. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when he brought the fact that like, oh, there was a gun that's like hidden in the air vents, and
Oh.
just like Al and Al realizing, oh fuck, he knew I put it in his house.
Yeah, it's such a good game of cat and mouse between these two, because you think Al Pacino, because that's the thing with like the first 30 minutes, you think Al Pacino is like this really smart cop and he knows what he's talking about. And to his credit, he is a good investigator. He is a good detective. He's good at his job. It's just that he's also a little morally slippery, and that's his ultimate downfall. But yeah, and then you see Robin Williams, and you're like, and yeah, that one scene where he's like, oh, he's talking about the gun. It was hidden in a heater vent, and you're just like, oh fuck, he knows, because yeah, in an earlier scene, Al Pacino planted a gun in his heater to try and pin stuff on him, but Robin Williams was one step ahead, so he knew what he was doing. It's like, oh shit, how does a genius combat with another genius? It's brilliant. You're just like, oh, I'm on the edge of my seat the whole time. I'm like, this is insane. This is impressive.
And like Al's freaking out in front of him that he doesn't want to play this game anymore. He's actually like now desperate to pin on him. And I'm
Yeah.
like, not cool, bro. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, no. And I do like that ultimately Al does the right thing, because I think that does show the difference between the two, in that, yes, even though they have very similar guilty consciences, ultimately Al is the one who chooses the right path and being like, no, I got to tell the truth. I got to preserve the truth. That's what my job is. Even if it means putting my ass on the line, I have to. Whereas Robin's character, he's more of a coward and like, no, there's a certain way things need to be. I'm the good guy. We need to put the bad guys away. But it's like, no, you're not the good guy if you're doing these bad things. Like the fact, it's really sometimes difficult to remember that, oh yeah, this is Robin Williams' character. Like Robin Williams he's so perfectly cast in this role because he's such a likable celebrity. Like you see Robin Williams, you're like, oh, Robin Williams, what a nice guy. But you tend to forget, oh right, his character fucking murdered a girl. So it's like, even if it was on accident, he still took a life, and that's messed up.
That was not on accident.
No.
That was not on fucking accident.
Yeah, no.
We saw how like the screen shifts.
Yeah.
Or getting beat to death.
Oh, absolutely. No, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and he even said, like, even Al Pacino brings it up. He's just like, you choked her for 10 minutes. Like, what do you mean it was an accident? It was not an accident. Like, you couldn't have killed her. Like, there was like that, yeah, that specific line where he's like, it happened in 10 minutes. Like, you chose wrong, essentially. Exactly. But Robin Williams is just so deranged, where he's just like, no, I'm the good guy. I will not be, because he views himself as morally superior when, again, though, he's not. But Al Pacino, at least, is able to have some self-reflection by the end, where he's like, you know what? I've let my morals slip away. Let me redeem myself by the end. And he does, ultimately, I think. I guess you could make the argument because, well, he did still plant evidence and kill a man. But I think the fact that he was willing to preserve the truth, and even like I said, there was that scene towards the beginning where he tells Hilary Swank's character to keep on investigating, even if it means he's going to get fried by the end. And here he is being fried at the end. And she almost tries to fall for his corruption, where she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna. No one needs to know. I'm gonna throw," because she has like another piece of evidence that connects him to the murder of his partner, and she's about to get rid of it, but Al Pacino's like, "No, like
And I
keep that."
understand why she did it. It was like a form of gratitude for like
Yeah,
her like saving him.
yeah,
But, like I feel like Al just figures no, you need to do the right thing.
yeah. You need to do the right
My
thing.
final message.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
yeah. No, it's a great final message. Yeah, because she does idolize him, but ultimately what she idolizes is his work, not the person, because well, the person, as we see, was very
Yeah.
faulty. But I think that is ultimate. But I think ultimately, what he, even though he wasn't a very good guy, I think what he did good should still be passed on, and that's what Hilary Swank's character is supposed to be. She's supposed to be the person who absorbs the good that he did and try to carry on that good while learning from the bad.
Word.
Yeah. So oh god, it's such a nice mystery movie. It's so interesting. I really feel like this is one of those subversive mystery movies that actually subverts expectations, because you have because again, like we said, we know who the killer is like half an hour into the movie, but the rest of the movie is still so engaging and stressful because there's a whole other angle to the mystery. Um and it's just fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
So, I didn't really have anything else to say. I just really love this movie. So, if you have anything else, please continue.
I'm hold on. I'm just trying to like think. Um, actually, I will one little nitpick. I will say.
Okay.
So that hotel lady that you were referring to earlier,
Yes.
dude. It kind of does confuse the fuck out of me that these are two separate characters. I thought it was Hilary Swank the whole time.
You know what? She does look very similar because yeah, she's like this white brunette lady. I can see the similarities. Yeah, it is a different character though.
Yeah, it's freaking weird.
Yeah. I will also say I think it's really funny that she takes it really well when Al Pacino is admitting to her that he planted evidence and did something highly, highly illegal. And he admits that to her, and her reaction is just like, "Oh, okay." It's just kind of like you're not like she's not slowly backing away and just being like, "I'm calling the cops on you." She's just like, "Huh, yeah, I guess it is a bit of a pickle you're in there." it's it's not a big deal, I think, because it is the end of the movie. It's like we really want to wrap things up, so I get it. I just thought it was really funny that she kind of takes it well when she's listening to highly illegal activity this guy is admitting to.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I think when it came to that, I think when it came to him, came to that scene, actually explaining the story about what happened back then, I actually thought that was Hillary's character. I thought that was Hillary, but
No,
no,
yeah,
now that you brought it up, it was the hotel lady.
yeah.
That's when I realized, wait, fucking god.
Well, the thing with Hilary Swank's character is she does figure out that Al Pacino killed his partner on her own. Like she is that good of an investigator and that determined of a detective. So I really like that she's able to figure it out all on her own. Like she doesn't need help from anybody else.
Absolutely, yeah.
It makes her figuring it out all the more sweeter because you know that she's becoming more intelligent by doing that.
Word.
Yeah. So I just what a great
Yeah.
film with great characters.
Not enough characters. I'm gonna be frank.
Yeah, I mean, I like that there's a very select few characters that we focus on because I feel like when it comes to a mystery like this, you do want Al Pacino and Robin Williams to be the main focus. And I do like that Hilary Swank is ultimately the character we end things on, where both Robin Williams and Al Pacino have died, they've killed each other, and so she's kind of there to again kind of pick up the pieces, and she's ultimately going to take the good things she learned from Pacino and ultimately learn from them.
Yeah. Actually, wait. There was actually another thing I actually did want to actually bring up
Sure.
earlier, and it was I think I want to go back to Robin Williams' character. So I think I think the fact that how you said how we don't see him until like an hour into the film,
More or
something like
less,
that.
yeah.
Dude, I think that was something I think kind of like bugged me when I was watching this. I'm like, all right, there's Robin Williams. I know, he's one of the main actors that's like featured on the DVD that I have. And where is he at? Is he supposed to be this new guy supposed to replace him as his new partner after Eckhart died? Like, when is he gonna show? Oh, he's the killer.
Oh, he's the killer.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, it really placates to your.
I'm not surprised.
It placates to your expectations of what Robin Williams as an actor can be, because you think, oh, he's the funny guy. He's a likable guy. He's Robin Williams, but no, he's this.
He's gotta be the good guy, right? I mean, like he's a lovable character. How could he like hurt a fly? Oh my god!
He hurt more than a fly. He hurted a whole teenage girl.
Oh my god!
No, but it's great. I love that the movie takes advantage of that. And really just shows of what a monster this character is. It's great. I love it.
Absolutely.
So you said you have it on DVD. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
I mean, hold on.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, I got it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It's well, I didn't know if there was anything to talk about, because I mean, it's not a special like DVD that I could like wow and the audience, or how you're like, oh, I got a better edition of the movie than you do.
Yeah.
It was just it's I just realized I have this movie sitting in my collection for like a year, because I think I bought this at a Second in Charles when I was in Virginia last year with Cred.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had this ever since, and now here I am 1 year later finally watching the damn thing.
Yeah.
Actually, I think there is a way I can wow Hal with this.
Oh.
Yeah, so should I just tell you, or should I just show it to you?
If you got something to show it.
I think you're gonna like it.
Oh boy.
'Cause I remember I remember one night we were talking about this specific type of packaging that Warner Brothers does.
Oh.
And yeah, this is one of them.
Oh shit, dog! What do you got here? You got the clicky case. Let me show this to viewers at home. Oh, this rocks.
Yeah, it's the
widescreen edition.
It's one of
Hell
those
yeah!
packaging. Yeah, they have like that bold, all just placed right there. I think I remember seeing one that was like full screen. I'm like, oh, I want full.
Yeah.
Full
No, full.
Yeah, it's
full screen sucks. Widescreen, I love widescreen. That's awesome.
Word.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I remember like I think he was like showing off like his movie collection or something like that, and like, no, what was it? No, was it Olivia doing it? Because I think they were showing off like the copy of like Iron Giant or something like that, and
That
it was
was
like in
Olivia.
the same type of packaging.
That was Olivia. Yeah, she showed us the Iron Giant with the clicky case. The click case. Oh, that yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, yeah. We were like rooting over it.
I love that early 2000s clicky cases. I used to, well, one of the movies we've talked about on the podcast was Training Day. I used to have a clicky DVD case of Training Day, but I upgraded that to Blu-ray. I would say I definitely do still have clicky cases of certain movies. I just haven't talked about them yet. But yeah, I'd love to talk about those, because there's some real gems I have on with the clicky cases like that.
Yeah. I mean, it sure was a packaging Warner Brothers did back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know why they did it.
I don't know why.
I don't know either. It's bizarre, but hey, it's unique. I love unique packagings.
True. I honestly, I'm frank, I have no idea if there's like any like sort of like special like edition or like cool like release of Insomnia. I just found this at Second Charles for like $5.
Yeah.
I figured, oh, this is a Nolan movie. I probably need to watch this someday. I might as well have it when the time comes. And the time has come.
The time has come.
This is like the only way I had it.
But
yeah.
I looked it up on Amazon, and yeah, there does seem to be a Blu-ray release of the movie. There's a Criterion release of the original Norwegian film. But
ooh,
yeah, which is interesting. But yeah, no, but it looks like the Nolan Insomnia just has a standard Blu-ray, which I'd be fine with. I'd love that. Which yeah, I guess that answers the question. Would I want to add this to the collection? Absolutely. I freaking love this film, so I desperately need a Blu-ray.
Yeah. I think like the only like phone features it has, it does have commentary.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I think both with does I think one with Nolan, and then it does have another commentary with Hillary, production designer Nathan Crowley, editor Dottie Dorn, cinematographer Wally Pifster, I have no idea how to pronounce that, and screenwriter Hilary Seitz.
Hillary says, "Yeah, this movie was written by a
And
woman.
then
That's cool."
a woman,
Yeah, women writing.
women, face,
They can do it.
and a couple of like featurettes as well.
Cool.
But that's yes, that's all it is. I mean, it's just your standard DVD, early DVD release of it. I mean, nothing too special out of the ordinary.
Yeah, but hey, we
I
love
could
early
say
2000s DVDs on this podcast, so that's fine by me.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
No
think
special edition.
yeah,
But
if I come across this, maybe I'll get it, but I think I will go for the standard Blu-ray release of Insomnia. I again,
I'd say that's a better option. Again,
yeah.
this is just the thing I needed just to watch the film and
Yeah.
way to watch it and
Yeah.
just own it for my DVD collection of Nolan, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, physical collection because I only have the Dark Knight trilogy on Blu-ray,
Right.
and I also have Oppenheimer on Blu-ray. But I also think it comes with the DVD.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had to like I need to like go through like the boxes of DVDs that I have because I think like because I had to move back with my parents recently, like it's like back at the end of June, because so I don't live with like my friend anymore due to some like issues. And there's nothing like there was like nothing against between us. It was like rent issues and shit like that.
Yeah. No,
A
it
long
happens.
story.
Yeah. Do you want to switch to the Dark City main thing?
Yes, let's talk about that now.
Yeah, okay. So, by the looks of your background there, it seems as though Dark City is now clear, whereas Insomnia is blurry. So that means we've moved on to the second movie we're talking about, Dark City.
Yeah. So wait, grab you. You can see what's his name
Yeah,
over here.
Kiefer Sutherland's character,
This guy,
Dr. Schreiber. It is I am Dr. Schreiber. I run Dark City, except I really don't. The strangers run Dark City. I just merely work for them, as you see.
let's both look at him.
Yeah, let's both look at him. Yeah. We're admiring Dr. Schreiber.
Both look at him.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy. Yeah. I like Kiefer Sutherland. He's a good actor.
Cool guy.
Yeah. So, all right.
I love this character.
Yeah. So I did have an ulterior motive. So as you had brought up earlier, like, oh, why didn't we talk about the remake of Insomnia with Insomnia? It's like, well, I forgot that Insomnia was technically a remake, but also, so Insomnia's whole gag is that it takes place during perpetual day. The day is representative of the characters and their guilt. Well, there's a movie that takes place in perpetual night, and that movie is called Dark City. And this movie,
day and night.
Day and night.
I don't know the words.
So I love this film, Dark City. This is one of my all-time favorite films. Like, I love it. I've been watching it ever since I was in college. It means a lot to me, and upon this rewatch, I love it even more. Like, it's just so good. I love it so much. So a little backstory with it. I think the very first time I watched it, once again, I have to bring up the Dougster when talking about this movie, because we have to bring up Doug Walker because it does apply. So we all remember when he did his Matrix month, when he talked about all the Matrix movies, and he brought up the fact that the Matrix came out around the same time as this movie did, because the Matrix was 99, this was 98, and they have very similar stories where the movie is about this higher power kind of controlling us and what we see, and we're trying to break out of that dystopian society holding us down. So I remember that was probably the earliest I'd ever heard of this movie was because of that video. And then I want to say like a year and a half later, during the summer of 2016, I found it. I found it on DVD at I want to say a Newberry Comics. I remember that Newberry Comics. I think it was the same one I found my Die Hard trilogy box set in. So that was a good day. I found both Dark City and Die Hard. Um, and I remember going home and watching it and being like, "Oh, this kind of rocks. This is actually a really interesting film." And so I was really impressed with it. And the reason I specified that it was summer of 2016 is because then fall of 2016 was my freshman year of college, my first freshman semester of college. And during that first semester, I took a class, my very first college class called History and Film. And that is a class, I think I've brought it up before, because there's a lot of films that I've discovered through that specific class that I hold in very high regard. That's the class we watched the short French film La Jetée, which eventually was remade into 12 Monkeys, which I've talked about on the podcast. But anyway, my long-winded point. I'll stop talking in a minute. So one of the movies we ended up watching during that class was Dark City. And that's a movie that I did my midterm on, was Dark City. But I did my midterm before we actually watched it because I had already seen it. So I asked my professor, I'm like, "Oh, for the midterm, can I do it on Dark City? Even though we haven't watched it yet, can I do it on Dark City?" He's like, "Oh yeah, sure, that's fine." And I remember getting a good grade on it. He was very impressed with my work. So, really, one of the earliest pieces of writing of film analysis I ever wrote was in college. I don't know where that essay is. It's probably lost to time, unfortunately. So, but anyway, so this was a class that I definitely learned to love this film a lot more through that class, even though I'd already loved it beforehand. And then, of course, through years, I've watched it again. I do want to mention that DVD. I don't have it anymore because the movie we're talking about, the version I have is Blu-ray, the movie I own of Dark City. It's Blu-ray. So the original DVD I had was the theatrical cut, which is the cut that I assume you watched on Tubi, because I told you about that.
Yeah, it was the only way I could watch it.
Yeah, which is totally fine. The theatrical cut is annoying, but only in the first like few minutes when Dr. Schreiber is narrating at the beginning. There's no narration at the beginning of the director's cut, and that's pretty much the big difference between the two.
I didn't really mind it, but I'll take your word for it, sure.
Yeah, so I think the narration just pretty much at the beginning just says what he says later on in the film anyway, when they're on the boat and he's just explaining who the strangers are. Like, so I guess it's annoying either way that he has to kind of stop the plot and explain to the characters who the strangers are. But at the same time, you kind of have to explain because it's such a heady concept that like you really can't. You just have to have a character sit the characters down and be like, all right, these are the people. This is what happened. These are why they're here. But I'd rather it happen in a scene later on when the characters are talking rather than the narration because it's just unnecessary.
Well, good news. I got distracted during the introduction, so I didn't even pay attention to what the fuck he said.
Well, there you go. Oh, then it worked out. Yeah. Other than that, the movie is pretty much the same. Like, there's really that's basically the only annoying thing about it. Because then you watch the director's cut, there's no narration. And so the movie, you're just you're trying to figure it out yourself. Because you see these, like, weird creatures, these, like, really pale, white, bald creatures. They wear, like, all black clothing. They're called the Strangers. They're the villains of the movie. And you're just like, who are these guys? And why have I not seen the son? Who is John Murdoch, the main character? So you're trying to figure it out yourself rather than having it explained to you by Kiefer Sutherland at the beginning. But if you weren't paying attention, then right, great, God. Perfect. Then you had the exact same, viewing experience that I did while watching this film, which is good.
Here, I thought the Doctor was supposed to be the protagonist. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking, all right, now who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah. So yes, the main character is John Murdoch, or that's the name he's supposed to be. Who's played by Rufus Sewell, who it's really interesting. Rufus Sewell, every movie I've seen him in besides Dark City, he plays a villain character. Where he plays like a bad guy. It's interesting, actually, now that I think about it, that we're talking about this with Insomnia. With Insomnia, Robin Williams usually plays good guys. Here he is playing a bad guy. Rufus Sewell, who's playing the good guy in this movie, usually plays bad guys. But it's interesting because this was the very first movie I ever saw him in. So I'm like, oh, he's really good. But then I learned that he usually plays villains in movies. He played the villain in Old. He played the villain in The Illusionist. He played the jerky douchebag boyfriend in The Holiday, I think it was. So again, like he plays usually villainistic or antagonistic characters, but here he is the main protagonist. And I think he really sells it. I think he's really good because he has like this really kind of wide-eyed innocent look to him where he's just kind of confused by everything. But that works because he doesn't have a memory. He has amnesia. He doesn't remember.
Just like Leonard.
Just like Shelby Leonard.
Oh my god.
Oh, there's so many connections.
It's like with us watching movies where people are just like, I forgot.
Yeah, exactly. That comes up a lot, I guess. But it works here because, you know, I think it's really interesting because the main character has amnesia. So we as the audience are kind of looking at this world from his perspective where we have no idea what is happening. And so we're learning just as the main character is. And I think that's great. It's a great writing tool. I do feel like I've been talking a lot. So Mordo, you talk about stuff. What did you like about this movie? What really grabbed your attention first?
Well, I can definitely say that this is definitely a movie. I feel like I had the same. I feel like I have the same feeling with like the Prestige, where I just go, "What the fuck? What the absolute fuck? What did I just witness?"
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad more people are finding out about this movie because it's really good. It's one of my favorites.
As more as this movie went on, the more I think started to intrigue me and made me like lose my mind a bit. Just like, what the fuck is this universe? What is this world building? Fuck's this story, lore and everything.
Yeah, exactly. It is interesting
when we find out where this place, where this whole city takes place in, which we'll get to later.
Yeah. But it's great. So it's because it's very noirish, very noir inspired. Because everybody's wearing like fedoras and dark clothing, like suits and stuff like that, like something you'd see in like an old detective movie from the 40s. And yeah, that does kind of add to it because you're not entirely sure what era this is supposed to be taking place in. You think it's supposed to be like 40s or 50s. But it's just not entirely clear. And then, of course, the ultimate twist towards the end is, well, it's not that. But again, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Well, what are we going to get into now, then?
That's a good question. Yeah, where do we start with Dark City? Well, actually, let's start with the strangers themselves, the actual villains of the movie. Because, you have various different... There's no one character. I guess, technically, what is it? Mr. Hand, played by Richard O'Brien, the dad in Phineas and Ferb, fun fact.
What?
Yep, it's the dad from Phineas and Ferb, Richard O'Brien.
No fucking shot. What?
Yeah, it's true. Look it up. It's him.
Oh my god, no.
But yeah, anyway, so he is kind of like the main stranger that gets he gets a lot more screen time. Mr. Hand, he gets a lot more screen time in terms of the other strangers. You do have Mr. Book, who's kind of the main stranger. He kind of seems like the one that kind of watches over everybody, and everybody kind of goes to him. But I would say the strangers in general are very much a hive mind kind of villain, where they're all kind of working together. And again, as it's revealed later on that they're just kind of aliens in these bodies. These bodies are merely just vessels for them to move around these horrible late 90s CGI alien bodies. That is the one.
Look at these names.
Yeah.
Mr. Han, Mr. Book, Mr. Wall.
Yeah.
Mr. Rain, Mr. Sleep.
I know.
Mr. Quick.
I love yeah, Mr. Quick. I love it. I love it because it is. I love these names because it is very much like it is very much what an alien culture would come down to try and investigate, like how humans interact and try to hide as humans, where they're just like, oh, it's me, Mr. Book. Like what? It's just so stupid, but it's really endearing is what it is, because they're just taking these random words and pretending they're names. It's great. I love that. I love it. But yeah, so ultimately that's what the strangers are, is like you're wondering what they're doing throughout the movie, because one of the things they do is they kind of shift how the city works. Well, they'll just like create buildings. They'll take people and just inject them with fake memories and make them entirely different people. Like there's the one sequence that's really cool where it actually shows them doing that, where you establish a couple in a very rundown apartment. Like the guy's in his like boxer briefs and wife beater, and the wife is in like curls and just like this really awful looking blouse. And then midnight strikes, they both fall asleep. And then you see the strangers kind of going up to them and kind of putting them in different clothing and kind of rearranging how their apartment looks until they're like in this really nice fancy dinner getup. Like he has a really nice suit. She has a really nice dress. They have like this huge dining room where they're just like talking. And then, midnight stops. It keeps going. The clock keeps going. And so then they kind of wake up and they just like continue their conversation, but as different people. That's a really cool sequence, but that's essentially what the strangers are doing, is that they're just going around and trying to like, they're studying humans and seeing how they go about everyday life, but they're also trying to figure out human nature and changing a person from what they were originally, and trying to see like, oh, is it nature or nurture with how they become a specific kind of person. And that's what ultimately they were doing with John Murdoch. John Murdoch was, or the character who we assume is John Murdoch, the character of John Murdoch is not necessarily who Rufus Sewell is playing. The actual guy, we don't know who he is. And basically that's every other character in the movie. But every other human character is, you don't know if that is exactly who they are. Like they could be, well, we don't know who they are, truly. But the strangers aren't implanting these memories into them and making them think they are these people. It's kind of heady. Like it's really, really confusing when you get down to it. But when you've seen this movie as many times as I have, it does start to make a little bit more sense. I don't know. Any thoughts?
The fact that we're actually, I do, because I think when it came to that that moment that happened, I actually sent a voice message for saying, "Hey, I'm 40 minutes into this, and after what I just witnessed, I just straight up said, this is fucking Persona 3."
Yeah. So could you explain that? I know you and James and all you guys like love the Persona franchise. I've never played a Persona in my life. I know, but all I know about Persona is what, Goro Akechi.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I know is Goro Akechi.
Right. Okay. All right, that's fine. Okay, so let me explain. So I'm not so it's not 100% accurate to Persona, but when I saw that what happens when the clock strikes midnight, that is something similar to what happens in Persona 3. So there is a thing that happens when it hits midnight in Persona 3 known as the Dark Hour. When the Dark Hour happens, the whole fucking town is like, but like everything turns green and everything like that. And well, when it comes to the people, they'd probably be asleep, or they're turned into coffins.
Oh.
And they just roam, and they just stand there around the city.
Yeah.
And sometimes there might have been someone that wasn't turned into a coffin, and there's actually like an animated cutscene that actually just shows how that happens in the game. But that like if one of them isn't in a coffin, they'll just puke black tar heroin and fucking die.
I guess that's kind of what they do here, but not really, because like nobody dies unless they actively try to. Because there is that one guy, that one detective who did wake up when the strangers were kind of fixing things, and he's seen as a lunatic, but he's one of those people who does see what is happening, like how they change the city and they make these people they force these people to have these certain lives. That's why, like, when Inspector Bumstead goes to see him at his home, and he's like, and Bumstead is just like, hey man, your wife is really worried about you. And he's like, that's not my wife. I don't know who that woman is. It's like, oh, that's interesting, because yeah, they implanted memories into this woman's head because she genuinely looks concerned for the detective, even though in reality, she's never met him. He's never met her, but she doesn't realize she is really, a slave to her own memories, but she doesn't realize that her memories are not her own. And so, but then that detective eventually learns, he's like, hey, there is a way out. And he just jumps in front of the subway and kills himself. It's like, it's really fucking morbid, but really fascinating. Ultimately.
Yeah. So, I will say though, like like I said, this is not what I'm referring to in Persona 3 and this is not 100% accurate. Now, the whole midnight, the thing where everything like stops like midnight and the dark hour happens, everything like that. It's like a moment where like time just kind of freezes itself, and like the shadows, like the monsters, like will come out and shit like that.
Yeah.
And also there's also like this building that also forms at the protagonist's school known as Tartarus. And there's also like an anime cutscene where like the party will go to their school and they will see like their school getting turned into Tartarus in real time. And when you look at it, it's like a bunch of buildings just like mishmashed together and all that shit. And it's like this big tower that's just like rising up and all that. And like and it looks something similar to that when the strangers were like shifting the buildings, everything around, like shit was like rising. It's just like, are they building a fucking tower?
Yeah.
Are they making their own fucking Tartarus? I swear to God, no. They're just actually like changing like the cities around. They're not like building like this hideout tower that I thought was actually just gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It just kind of treated me just like
yeah. They're just like forming new buildings, like trying to like make it seem like a different city. And yeah, it's just, and again, the whole movie takes place at nighttime because it's nothing but a dark sky, and it really starts to get to you after a while. Just like how it's like it's perpetually day in Insomnia, and after a while, I was like, I need to see a night sky. Like this is stressing me out. Like the same thing here. It's nothing but night, and you're just like, I need to see the sun again. Like, so not to get ahead, but that's why when ultimately you do see the sun towards the end, it's like genuinely like freeing and nice feeling. You're just like, oh, finally sun. Because I feel like us as humans, we need that balance between night and day. We need that that balance, that cycle between night and day, because that's what we're used to.
Absolutely.
So and it's just interesting to watch this movie and see what it says about memories and, you know, the true human nature, because that's ultimately what the movie is about. You know, that's what the strangers are researching with the humans that we have here and seeing what makes us human. You know, is it our experiences? Is it who we are physically, like the body itself? Is it the soul? What is the soul? Like it's asking a lot out of you as the viewer, but I really feel like it does go into these things naturally without it halting the story, without it halting the mystery, the ultimate mystery of John Murdoch trying to figure out what is happening. I feel like there is still that core story of the main character trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And I really feel as though a lot of movies are not able to strike that balance where they have really interesting ideas, but also a really solid story to ground everything. And that's why like I keep returning to this movie, because yeah, it does have these interesting ideas, but it does have that core story that I really want to see John Murdoch figure things out, because I think he is a likable character. I like all the other characters. I really like Kiefer Sutherland's character. I think he's really interesting because, yeah, Dr. Schreiber is a human, but he works for the strangers. But you're not entirely sure where his motivations lie yet because he wants to help John, but he's also working for the enemy. So you're just like, what's his deal? Ultimately, you know, he does want to help John, and he's the one who ends up giving John the serum at the end, the memories that he put himself into, and he like puts him into like his actual memories. So then like you see John going through his memories of being a boy, and Kiefer Sutherland's there. He's just like, you're probably wondering why I'm here in your memories. Well, I'm here to show you how to use your gift, because that's the other thing. John,
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, no, that was a great scene because that's also a scene that's parodied in the Matrix episode. I think it's the last Matrix episode that Doug did.
Oh.
Where he puts Chester A. Bum in Doug's memories, and then he just photoshops Chester A. Bum's head over like past episodes of the Nostalgia Critic. It's great. It's really clever. But it's also a really clever scene within universe where he like gives John these memories, but he puts himself into them so that he can teach John how to use the tuning. So the tuning is what the strangers use to like kind of change everything, where they can make buildings appear out of nowhere. They're tuning, or they can like make people fall asleep and like make them believe they're somebody else. Like that's what the strangers use. And for some reason, John has that ability. I don't think it's ever explained why he has that ability, but I think ultimately it doesn't matter because I think it's supposed to be just like, we don't know how that happened. And I don't really mind that it's never explained. I think it is nice that we have like this like bit of information that we don't know why he has the ability to tune like everybody else, but it does lead to the story, you know, kind of progressing. And so then he's able to figure out what is happening. And ultimately he's able to figure out who the strangers are through his tuning. And it also kind of leaves the ending a little bit. Upon rewatch with this movie, I realized just how kind of bittersweet the ending is now that I think about it, because now that John can tune, he's practically God now, you know, to these people. It's like, which is insane.
Out that the city takes place in fucking space.
Yeah, so that's the ultimate twist, is that so John is trying to get to Shell Beach. Like, he wants to go to the beach. He wants to go to see the sunrise. He wants to just like get away from the city and go back to what he thinks is paradise, because that's what the strangers implanted into his memories, that he had a childhood at this place called Shell Beach. Ultimately, Shell Beach never existed because, well, yeah, when they go to like crash open the wall and they open it up and it's nothing but space out there, and then it like pans back and it's like, oh, the city was a maze in the middle of space. You're just like, holy shit.
That's where wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's a great.
This is some cube shit.
Yeah, no, it really catches you off guard. You're just like, holy shit. But it's great. Like it's kind of freaky though too, because then Bumstead, like when the strangers come, he just like kind of floats off into space, and he's just dead. He's just dead for the rest of the movie. You're just like, oh shit, this character I actually liked is now dead. Shit, dog. Like there's some actual stakes to this.
Nolan film we were supposed to talk about for this episode.
Oh, say that again.
Sort of think that this was supposed to be the Nolan film we were talking about in this episode.
It is very Nolan-esque. I get what you were saying when you called this Christopher Nolan's Persona 3. Because
actually, I could compare this to two different other sources of media.
Mm-hmm.
One, actually, this is funny because I don't want to like go on about it, because there's nothing a lot to do, to explain about it. But I want to fucking compare this movie to the lore of, you're gonna laugh, but just follow me, 21 Pilots.
Go on.
Are you aware of the band?
I've heard of 21 Pilots. I'm familiar with them. I don't think I've ever truly listened to them.
I didn't think you would, but I mean, they did Heathens for that one Suicide Squad film, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yes.
I would assume you've probably seen that, may have heard the song in the film.
Yes.
So, but if you're not a diehard fan, you probably wouldn't know that their albums do have a lore / story to it.
Okay.
And so I guess best way I can briefly explain it is that in this universe there is this isolated city known as Dima.
Mm-hmm.
That is what it's called, and our protagonist is named Clancy. This is Tyler Joseph's character, which is the vocalist behind 21 Pilots. And Clancy was born and grew up in the city. And the city is very like isolated. It's not as colorful or it's like a dark kind of gloomy like city.
Yeah.
And it's very isolated. And Clancy's character is that he wants to go outside the city. He wants to see what is lurking out there because technically Dima is supposed to be like the negative headspace that Tyler has dealt with growing up and wants out of it. But he's made as many attempts that he's gone outside of the city because there's this freeish land out there known as Trench, with like a group of like outsider like rebellious group known as the Banditos.
Mm-hmm.
He's made an escape attempts a couple of times, but there are bishops, there are rulers of this city that run the city, and the leader known as Nico or Blurryface always drags him back in. Like he doesn't want him to go outside. And I could compare the bishops in Nico to the strangers. Oh, they're in control of the city. They run it. Then they don't want anyone to leave. Then the people are not allowed to go outside, and they are just in control. And they also kind of like they don't have like world shifting powers,
right?
Like the strangers do. But they have that sort of like force energy that that final battle that happened, like they were just like throwing like wind-esque energy against each other with their fucking minds.
Right, exactly.
So that's what it was. So I want to say Clancy is like John Murdoch. Strangers are like Nico and the Bishop. This Dark City is Dima, and Shell Beach is Trench.
Yeah,
just the outside.
Do you think they're like connections are a little more like, do you think 21 Pilots actually makes those connections more obviously, like they have seen Dark City and they were inspired by that?
I have no idea. I honestly have no idea because well, I mean, with the lore of Clancy, the whole place doesn't take on space. It's like an actual like planet and stuff like that. It's like its own like world.
Yeah.
It has to do with it's kind of like a fictional story of like Tyler's like mental health, of how like he wants to like find, how he wants to like move on and like get out of like this dark negative headspace that he has growing up, and like because he deals like with like his mental health and stuff like that, and just live life freely and happy.
Yeah.
And I know like it's just those negative impacts on him that drags him back into that mindset, and he wants out of it.
Yeah, I guess that is kind of what Dark City is about, because these strangers are kind of are suppressing these people from truly living how they would want to, because again, it's never entirely clear where the humans came from, but whoever they are that we see them, like John Murdoch, Inspector Bumstead, Dr. Schreiber, Emma, the Jennifer Connelly's character, the wife of John Murdoch, like none of these characters are who their names are. Like they're not those people truly. They were just brought there for these experiments done by the strangers. And again, like, you get the perpetual night. So it's kind of like this suppression of who they're truly meant to be, and why ultimately when John Murdoch wins, he's able to kind of form a sun, give sun and water to this world. Again, it's crazy because now he has god powers, so he can just make the sun appear. It's great. It's great in that it's very open-ended of whether or not this is like a good thing, but ultimately that's not what we're not meant to know, because that's not what the movie's about. The movie is wrapped up now. It's kind of left open-ended at that point.
Yeah. Also, I think another comparison. I don't know much about this, but this also kind of reminded me of this uh Twitter story that someone like made. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but if anyone out there has heard of it, does the phrase "the sun vanish" ring a bell?
Not specifically, no. Is this like a Twitter ARG?
I want to say it is, but it's not like an actual ARG. It's like it's a story that is just written in Twitter posts.
Okay,
And
yeah.
basically, I remember watching a video on it that someone talked about it. I never like followed along with it. It's basically like, yeah. So one day the sun just disappeared on the planet, and like our protagonist is trying to wondering what's happening with it to see if there's like anyone here around that could like help or know anything about it, and they're just trying to figure out what's going on. And I want to say there's like some sort of like sci-fi aspect to it. I don't know. I haven't followed along with it, but I know it's just something that just rings a bell. It's just like, like this is a city that has never like experienced the sun before, or like if they ever wondered the sun is, it vanished. And of course, the dragon's just wondering what the fuck happened to the sun. What is going on?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Why
is
is
like,
things not normal?
yeah, do these people even know what the sun is? I mean, they claim to have memories where they can see the sun. John Murdoch has memories where he's at the beach as a child. But did the actual person, ever actually experience that? We don't know. Because that's the thing, is like, who are the characters as humans? Are they their memories, or are they something more? Because, well, all their memories are fake, so they're truly not these people. Because again, the experiment with John Murdoch was the strangers were trying to see, like, oh, if we implanted this one guy with these memories of him becoming a murderer, would he actually act upon becoming a murderer? Ultimately, he doesn't, because he doesn't kill anybody. Like, he's not the one killing. And so that does kind of like make you wonder, though, because when he's creating Shell Beach and he's creating like the sun, he's going off of memories that aren't truly him, but it's what he wants. Because the whole movie, he wants to go to Shell Beach, and even if he has to make Shell Beach, he's going to Shell Beach. But again, these are experiences that he never experienced, essentially. But I guess that really begs the question, like, okay, who are we? Like, what are we? Are we our memories? Are we our experiences? But then it has to wonder, like, okay, when it comes to experiences, like, the actual body that we're inhibiting right now, is that us? Is our memories, whether they're fake or not? Like, how do we know they're fake or not? Like, again, these are such heavy questions that this mystery thriller movie from 1998 is raising. And you kind of get lost in it sometimes. I feel like I'm rambling right now,
Oh no, I don't mind it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but because I often remember, so as I said, I watched this movie in college, and this is a really funny story. I have to tell this. I always think about this because it has to do with the movie.
Please do.
So obviously I did my midterm on this movie, and we didn't watch it until November of 2016. So let's go back to November of 2016, chat. So a certain election was happening at that time, and a certain somebody got elected. And so I remember the morning I woke up, and I'm just like, all right, I'm about to go into a liberal arts college with Trump in the office now. I'm going to walk in late to class because I don't want to hear people talk about this. So I ended up going late. I walked in 10 minutes late into class. People were still talking about it. I'm just like, oh, great. This is going to be the rest of my semester. But anyway, we start the movie Dark City. Yeah. So we start the movie Dark City, and my teacher puts it on, and he's like, oh yeah, this is a movie about these weird alien creatures injecting memories into people. Oh, maybe that's what happened to us. Trump didn't actually win. Maybe we got injected with these memories to think he did win. And we're like, oh, ha, 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 funny. Then the next time we go to class, he continues the movie, and he goes, oh, this is the part where they inject the memories. Oh, maybe that's what happened to us. Maybe he injected the memories into us to make us believe that Trump won. We're like, yeah, you already said that, but ha ha ha. And then the third day, we finish up the movie finally, and he goes, oh, this is another scene where they're injecting memories. Hey, maybe that's what happened to us. We're like, oh my fucking God, are you kidding me, dude? It's like,
oh
look,
my God!
It was funny the first time, but the fact that he repeated the joke 3 times, I was like, oh my God, I get it. I get it. To be fair, my teacher was like, what, 70, 80 something? I don't know. He was pretty old, so I get it. He didn't have a good memory. I guess he did have memories implanted into him. But I always bring up that because I always bring that up whenever I think of Dark City, because it's like, yes, there are scenes where you're injecting memories, and yes, it did happen at a time when things were a little crazy, so I get it. But it was just really funny that he kept repeating the same joke every time. And it didn't sound like he was repeating it because it generally sounded like he was repeating it because he didn't remember he already said it the last time. And I was like, oh, this guy's kind of old. He's kind of on the way out, isn't he? To say. But again, it is still a really cool aspect of this movie that yes, they inject memories, and you think like, oh, like the characters genuinely believe that they actually experienced these memories, but we see them being injected with these memories. They didn't actually live them out. And that's just such a really cool concept. The fact that like, oh, all your memories are fake, that's scary. Like, you know?
Yeah. The more I think about this movie, the more like how fucked up this story is. Jesus
It is a fucked up movie. It's a really great film though. I love thinking about it. I love thinking about what it presents. It is my favorite film from director Alex Proyas. I'm honestly surprised that he directed it, and it's written by him and by a couple other people. One of them being David S. Goyer, who does have a connection to Nolan. He did write the story for The Dark Knight. Fun fact.
Hey yo.
Yeah. So again, we're all these connections to Christopher Nolan. So I knew we made the right decision in having it be both Dark City and Insomnia in this movie. But yeah,
Yeah.
David.
I agree. This was quite interesting.
Yeah. So David S. Goyer did write. He wrote the story for The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, and then he also wrote BVS and Man of Steel. So he had a couple of duds, but at least he wrote Dark City.
No.
And then this is funny. One of the screenwriters, Lem Dobbs, who wrote Dark City, he wrote Gotti. The fucking John Travolta Gotti movie. Oh my God.
I'm gonna look at. I feel like I should know.
So that's the movie where like John Travolta played John Gotti, the famous New York crime boss, and he didn't do a very good job in that movie. But also that movie, wait, is that the movie that's directed by? Okay, no, it's not. I thought it was the John Travolta movie that was directed by Limp Bizkit. No, that's another film. But I think this is also the one that was like produced by like, I want to say Fandango, or it was produced by like a movie ticket company. It wasn't produced by a movie studio. It was produced by like a movie ticket company. And then like, because it was getting lambasted by critics, it tried to like pull a campaign where it's just like, don't listen to the haters, go watch Gotti. And it's just one of those like so bad it's good films. But it's written by the guy who wrote Dark City, one of the most brilliant films ever written. It's like, I guess they can't all be winners. But again, I mean, it's directed by Alex Proyas, who does have some pretty good films under his belt. He directed The Crow and I, Robot, which are good movies. I highly recommend those. But he also directed a movie called Gods of Egypt, which is dog shit.
Okay, okay. I thought you made Gotti sound like it was like a bad movie or it was like a well known movie that we've seen. And here I'm looking at it now and I'm just like, wait, James gave it 5 stars.
Oh, did he? Did James give it 5 stars?
Gotti, Kevin, pronouncing the last name.
Oh.
Pronouncing shit.
Oh, I see. This is James's review. All right, guys, I reviewed Gotti. You can stop asking. In parentheses, I have not seen Gotti.
Oh. Oh, so it's a joke review.
Okay, that makes sense. Oh, that's so funny. Well, now we have to make James watch Gotti. I'll make it my life's mission to show Gotti to James.
Wait, you know, are you aware of Salty?
Yeah.
He's like a Letterboxd user I follow. He gave it 5 stars, and then can I read it off?
Yeah, please read it.
All right, because there's some words. My 400th review, and we chose Gotti. To be honest, Gotti is a special film. Make a film out of something no one even knows about. Big skill, and the creators of the film did so freaking well. Every single second of this film is magical. I honestly couldn't believe I was watching a film this beautiful. Everything that the characters felt, I felt. Every emotion conveyed through the film, I understood. Especially with the man himself, Gotti. Where do I even begin with Gotti? This man, as well as all the other characters, this man, as well as all the other characters, were fantastic. They were so well written to the point where I thought I was in the story with them. Also, the story was filled with so much, well, everything that it just works. Lastly, the Mr. Worldwide music was breathtaking.
Oh.
Whenever I heard his voice during some parts of the film, I cried, man. So that's it. I watched Gotti, a film that changed my life, and many of you guys too. Now, let me be serious for a second. I honestly never thought I'd be at 400 logged films right now. And I just want to thank you guys for reading and liking them. It would mean a lot if there were some people like you guys noticing me as someone here on Letterboxd. That it means a lot to know that there's awesome people like you guys noticing me as someone here on Letterboxd. Thank you all. All right, good night, everyone. Always wanting me to watch BTTF, Men Choose Gotti.
Oh, that was wholesome. Another banger from Salty. Oh, you know what? That Mr. Worldwide name drop. I was like, okay, that was the final piece of the puzzle. Now I remember why people were clowning on Gotti. Fucking Pitbull song.
Okay, I figured this was a joke review by Salty, but I still wanted to read it anyway because I thought,
yeah,
I loved how he just did it because Lazy Bone and Bamison, I think, gave it like a star or so. No, half star. Gotti, more like I can't think of anything to say. Fuck it.
Cool. Who is that? Was that Lazy or Bamison?
I think that was Bamison's.
Oh, that's so good. Oh. Oh, classics. Yeah. Well, anyway, my point is, look, as much as I love Dark City, I guess this was kind of a happy little accident because clearly the writers and the directors went on to do other quote unquote interesting films, to say the least, that were not Dark City levels of good. So
absolutely. Actually, you know what's funny? For when I was watching this, for some reason, like, it's the more dark, gloomy aesthetic I felt from this film, I feel like it felt something similar to Faust.
Yeah,
This gave off
I can
Faust
see
vibe
that
for some reason. I don't know why.
I'm not to be. I mean, again, I am the Faust lover here, but I do genuinely kind of see that, especially the night scenes during Faust. When it's like dark and gloomy and gothic and stuff like that. Yeah, I can see that. They do have very Faust energy to them, although there's no tit puddle in this movie, so pros and cons vary.
There's no like heavy music or the fucking devil or some shit like that. No, This is not. I mean, like Faust is like this feel. It's shit like that was like, oh, you can't really take seriously because this is just goofy on insane.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas this I can take seriously.
With Dark City, yeah, it's like this is actually intriguing. Like,
oh yeah,
you're actually like curious, like what the heck is the story? And like,
yeah, you're actually interested in seeing
like that.
You're actually interested in seeing where it goes exactly. So,
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, this movie often gets brought up as like kind of like it came before The Matrix, and some people kind of argue maybe The Matrix ripped this movie off. I don't subscribe to it blatantly ripping off Dark City. I think both movies have enough differences to them that I would say it's more of a coincidence that they have similarities. I think also the beginning of The Matrix has some set pieces to it that were used in Dark City, because both films were filmed in Australia. Because well, that's another part of this movie that I love, is that this movie was filmed in Australia because Alex Proyas is Australian. But
Okay.
a lot of the extras and like character actors in this movie are so clearly Australian actors putting on really funny American accents. Where they're just putting on like really extreme New York accents, where they're just like, "Hey, I'm from New York. Here I am. I'm not Australian." I thought that was really funny, but I thought the people did a really good job at conveying their American accents, all things considered. It is pretty obvious who's an Australian actor pretending to be an American in this, and who is genuinely American. Like Jennifer Connelly, Kiefer Sutherland, and William Hurt are actually American actors. And they're also great. Like that's the thing. I think the acting in this is very good. But anyway, so the point I was trying to make is comparing this film to The Matrix. Honestly, I do think I prefer this over The Matrix. I know The Matrix is like one of cinema's darlings, like we were saying earlier with The Godfather. It's one of those special cinematic gems that you kind of have to watch. But quite honestly, I think I do prefer this movie over The Matrix. I think this one's a lot more interesting than The Matrix is.
Well, I'm someone who hasn't seen The Matrix, and I'm sorry, I don't see the comparison.
Yeah, it is. Again, like I said, I think there's enough differences between Dark City and The Matrix where you can't really say they're exactly the same and one was ripping off the other, because that's just simply not true. Like, there's enough differences, because again, yeah, The Matrix is very much drenched in that 90s hacker aesthetic, whereas Dark City is paying homage to that old 1940s and 50s neo-noir detective thriller kind of film. And so they're very, very different in that case. I think it's the fact that, like, it's about the fact that they live in this dystopian city that's not exactly what it seems like. It's all a simulation. It's all not real. I think that's where people make the comparison and being like, oh yeah, this is the same movie. It's like, no, they're totally different. I'm just saying, out of the two, I prefer Dark City.
Agreed.
Yeah. So is there anything else we have to say about Dark City before I get into this Blu-ray?
Oh, actually, yeah. Another connection. Did I ever realize that both films we talked about are under Warner?
They're under Warner Brothers. No kidding. Oh, well, technically Dark City is under New Line Cinema.
New Line.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, is Insomnia under New Line?
Insomnia is a Warner Brothers film.
Right. But New Line does... They do have, like, back and forths with Warner. So that makes sense. Yeah, I guess.
Oh, I mentioned that this thing has the clicky case.
Yeah. You're right. But still, like New Line, yeah, Dark City's under New Line, but New Line does.
That means it's a Warner Brothers movie.
Yeah. I'm just saying, Dark City's New Line. So
New Line's. Yeah. So New Line's also under Warner in a way.
Yes.
I mean, they somewhat count. I guess I don't know.
They have connections between one another, because New Line produced the Lord of the Rings movies, but Lord of the Rings is under Warner Brothers now because Warner Brothers did the Hobbit trilogy. So yeah, that makes sense.
Other than that, oh yeah, one more other thing. What the fuck do you mean 12 Monkeys is a remake?
Oh, that was a while ago. Yeah, dude, let me explain, because I'll quickly explain. So in that class, we watched a film called La Jetée, which is a French short film from 1965. And it's basically about a guy living in a dystopian future who is sent back in time to figure out how a certain disease that caused the end of humanity, like to try and research it and see like how people can cure it in the future. And it's a short film it's like, I want to say like 10 minutes long. I actually don't remember specifics, but one of its one of the aspects that stands out about it is it's technically not motion pictures. It's all just still images. So the film is told through narration, and the visuals are just like still images. It's a little hard to explain using just audio. You just look up La Jetée on YouTube, and I'm sure you'll find it. But anyway, Terry Gilliam then was heavily inspired by that film and made 12 Monkeys, which is essentially it's the same story where Bruce Willis plays a character in like this dystopian future that's ravaged by this disease, and so he's sent back in time to figure out the origins of this disease, and then hijinks ensue from there.
Damn, I never knew that.
Yeah. Have you ever seen 12 Monkeys?
Let's just say my dad owns it, and I know how it ends.
Oh yeah, no, the ending is so good. It's so good. I've talked about 12 Monkeys on the podcast. That was one of my earlier episodes. We talked about it with Stealth.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I love 12 Monkeys. That's probably one of my favorite Terry Gilliam films. It's so good. I do like it a little more than La Jetée, because I think La Jetée, as good as it is kind of simplistic. I mean, I like the whole still images and all that, but I think I do prefer, an actual narrative that's with moving pictures. And I do like Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt in that movie. So it's a very good film. I highly recommend it.
If anyone here has seen it, without context, let's just say I was devastated by that ending.
Oh, dude, it's entirely devastating. It's arguable whether it's more. I guess it is more upfront with its devastating ending than Dark City is. Dark City is more. It tries to come off as more lighthearted, but I think it's underlying tones of being like, oh, the fact that all the strangers are dead, but now John Murdoch is this unattended human with these godlike powers. Like, it's more so implied like, oh, what happens now? Like it doesn't really go into it because it's the end of the story. We don't really need to know what happens. Like it's not really important.
You ever think that maybe that this could be like the same world that takes place in Smiling Friends?
Yeah, the flat Earth. Ooh.
Yes. Think about it. Yeah. Think about it.
I would love if Dark City and Smiling Friends took place in the same universe. That's good. That's my headcanon.
Probably. There's no way that the Earth can be flat, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, wait. That would actually wait. Yeah, because Glass Dome would fit in Dark City. There's the Glass Dome.
Can I talk a little bit about this Blu-ray?
Yeah, in a moment. There is one thing I kind of did want to mention. I had to go back to Insomnia for a moment.
Oh, go back to Insomnia.
No, I think there was like another comparison I wanted to make to this. Definitely with the idea of the fact that, Al, killed his partner and everything like that, trying to hide the fact that it was an accident or not, or that he did it.
Yeah.
Part of me kind of thought that this was going to go down the telltale heart trope.
Yeah, the telltale heart.
That he put the gun, especially when he put the gun in the floorboard. Like, oh, dude, this is just telltale heart. They're just doing telltale heart.
Yeah, I would be shocked if that wasn't what Christopher Nolan was going for in that one scene. Yeah.
I would have liked that if it was like I feel like I definitely would like that if this is a story that was like originally by him and not like a remake of a. I feel like that could work.
I feel like there has to be like some influence from Telltale Heart in that story. It's just not as blatant. Like it's more so in the subtleties. And again, like that one shot of him putting it under the floorboards. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Like the heart under the floorboard.
Yeah.
Or like the SpongeBob episode with the Squeaky Boots.
Squeaky Boots. Oh, when I found out that Squeaky Boots is just a glorified remake of Telltale Heart, I was just like, that's incredible.
Yeah. No, yeah, I just thought about that because I kind of got that like that vibe watching it, and I just now remembered bringing it up. I'm like, I should watch that area. But now that I got that out of my system, I will let you talk about the Blu-ray now.
Yeah, I'll talk about the Blu-ray of Dark City. So Dark City. So like I said, I used to have it on DVD, but it was the theatrical cut with the intro being narrated. Yeah. But this one, so the Blu-ray advertises itself as being the director's cut. But it does come with both. And I do appreciate that because maybe someday I want to go back and see, okay, is the theatrical cut any worse? Because again, I think the only major difference between the two is that opening narration, which again, Dr. Schreiber explains it later on in the movie anyway, who the strangers are. I think again, it was the narration was put there because the studio was afraid that people wouldn't be able to follow along with what is happening. To be fair, it is a very heady film, so I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't have been able to follow along anyway. And honestly, the bad news is this movie didn't do well at the box office. It bombed when it originally came out because, again, people were confused by it. So I get it. But also, like, I think also the ending where it's just like the two characters kind of flying around the city and the CGI on the aliens is not very good either. I think that just kind of makes it age a little bit. But I'm willing to forgive those things because I think they look funny looking back, and I'm okay with looking back at funny effects, funny looking special effects from the time because it's cute, it's adorable, and it's nice to see how far we've come from that. Um, but yeah, I think it ultimately I do like how the film has two versions that you can choose from, and the Blu-ray has both versions for you to choose from. It also has a bunch of special features that were on the original DVD release, which is nice because
A word.
there's all these commentaries from the writers and directors, and there's even a commentary by film critic Roger Ebert, which is really cool. Um, so honestly, real stacked Blu-ray. This it looks like a standard Blu-ray, but the contents within are more than worth it for sure. I will also say, just a quick thing. This is just a minor nitpick that ultimately does not matter. It just bothers me a little. And people will see this when I show the Blu-ray on the episode. Is that it's called Dark City, but the cover on the Blu-ray is mostly like white and gray, and it's very bright. And I don't know. I preferred the cover that the DVD had, where it was John Murdoch kind of like tied up to a clock, and he's like screaming, and he like looks to be in pain. But it's a really striking image for the cover, and I like it more than this cover. But ultimately, I think I prefer this movie to be on a nice Blu-ray and gives me an option to watch the director's cut because I think that cut is superior to the theatrical cut. But so, yeah. Regardless, I'm keeping this Blu-ray no matter what because I think it's really cool.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I definitely want to get it now.
I highly recommend it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the movie, like upon rewatch and actually watching the director's cut to actually see the intended version. Because again, I don't think the theatrical cut is that different, but I think the director's cut would be the preferred viewing. But I mean, look, the fact that the movie was on Tubi to begin with is huge. I'm really appreciative of that. Thank you, Tubi.
Thank you, Tubi. You're the goats for this one.
Common Tubi W.
Are they common?
Well, they've been slacking because of their rebrand, but they have enough W's. I think they got the Dinosaur Hotel movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no. Whatever.
I agree. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
I will say though, when it comes to like that poster of like him on the clock, I kind of like thought to myself, is this a horror film? It looks like he's on a Saw trap.
Yeah, that's the thing is that it is kind of a melding of different genres. It does look like a horror film, but then you get into it and it starts off kind of like a neo-noirish mystery thriller, and then by the end it's just straight up sci-fi. So it's kind of a mixture of all these different genres to make this really unique experience. I would say it's mostly a thriller, drama, mystery, sci-fi. Again, I you know what? I can say it's mostly one thing, but I think it is just a marriage of all these different genres that it's not one thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah, but again, highly recommend the film. It's one of my all-time favorites, one of my absolute favorites. One that I discovered, well, not really discovered, but learned to appreciate through that history and film class in college. Like that, again, like I've said, I've discovered a lot of films through that class, and I'm excited to talk about other films I discovered through that class because there's some really good ones that I really want to share with people.
Oh always a unique story about the films that you want to show me on these episodes, and you know, I really I kind of actually like appreciate that now.
Oh, thanks, dude.
I feel like, yeah, I also just kind of find it interesting because I feel like I'm finally watching like a real movie, because I feel like oh no, The Producers is a real movie. I started just thinking about how we talked about Interstellar with Buzz Lightyear, and I'm like,
That's fair. That's fair.
about a short.
Yeah.
But then again, like you had like a unique story with Lightyear's Target Man, which I totally get. I don't know if there was like a story that went along with your introduction to the Producers, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it's this and like it's this and like Star Command. I was just like, okay, there's an understanding like backstory to why like you want to show me this film, or like you want to talk about it
Yeah.
in general.
Oh yeah. I always
And
want.
which I totally get, and now I really that's definitely why I see the fun of it.
Yeah, that's one of the underlying themes of this podcast is, I feel like William and I were always trying to get people to watch other things than just, whatever Schaeferless fans are watching, like there's nothing wrong with watching popular animated films. It's just that, you got to move on to try other things, which is why, like, hey, I discovered one of my favorite films, Dark City. I want more people to watch it because, I mean, you've seen it. A couple people I follow have seen it, but I feel a bunch of people I follow just have it in their watch list. It's like, well, I kind of want people to shave it off the watch list, watch it because it's actually a genuinely great film. So that's the thing is like, yeah, I want people to see films that I think are really cool. Like that's always something we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad we liked Insomnia too.
Yeah. I should also probably apologize to you and everyone else that I've kind of been like, I feel like I've been avoiding you guys lately, and I've just kind of been quiet in the Lone Knight server. I think I just kind of been like too busy, just been hanging out with like Sora and the gang. We just been like singing a lot, and of course, TMG. It truly just brought us all together.
Yeah.
It was just truly an experience.
No,
I just spent a lot more there because
Yeah.
like we just have like a bunch of like chaotic fun together.
No, absolutely.
No, yeah, I need to get back to like doing Will Knight stuff with y'all.
No, we totally understand. Like, yeah, you're hanging out with your friends. That's totally understandable. And again, we still have these Nolan episodes to do. So like, this is good to bring you back, talk about these movies, because again, like, it's why I bring you back on.
Yeah, and then of course just a lot of like going on in my life, so that's just one reason.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to call it a day on this episode? We've been going for a while.
Yeah, I believe so.
All right. So why don't you shout out your stuff? Where can people find you, Mordo?
I'm kidding. Well, the joke is I'm in Missouri. I ain't saying where, but it's Missouri. No, you know where to find me. I'm here on the YouTubes. I'm here on the Twitters. Blue Sky's there, and the Tumblr. I'm not active on it, but they're backups. They're there.
The letterbox. The letterbox, yeah.
There's also the personal Twitter account that I've been venting on it, and I should probably delete some stuff because I say some very depressing shit on that I don't think y'all should really need to.
Your latest tweet. I actually thought happened. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say your latest tweet says, "I actually thought Tenet was pretty good."
Actually, that'd be funny. Actually, I'm gonna tweet that now.
Oh yeah, let's go. Tenet tweet, baby.
Tweet that now.
Oh, we ordered our hot sauce an hour ago. Woo! All right, I'm exhausted. So
on the path of redemption already. And I think my Steam Deck's about to die.
Oh, good. Yeah, so let's call it a night. Let's go to sleep now. We don't have insomnia anymore. Let's go to sleep. Bye-bye, everybody.
Oh, by the way, I should mention, if you're wondering who the heck my character is on here, this is Yuri. This is one of my OCs, probably the mascot for my account. Yeah, again, I'm so new to this virtual camera shit, and I kind of just had this thing lying around, so I just use this as my PNG tuber for now. I'll have a human one next time, but you know what? Yuri's still a technical main Sona that I have, so go with that. If you're wondering, I figured I'd answer it before you leave.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm glad people now know. Good for Yuri.
Yeah. He's my I love him. Anyway, yeah, let's Let's go to bed.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good
Nah,
night,
girl. I'll see you tomorrow.
Just